In exercise of powers conferred by the Central Bank of Nigeria Act 2007 and the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020, the Central Bank of Nigeria has issued corporate governance guidelines for commercial banks, merchant banks, non-interest banks and payment service banks in Nigeria, as well as corporate governance guidelines for financial holding companies with effect from August the 1st. In another development, the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Central Bank of Egypt have signed a memorandum of understanding to establish a Nigeria-Egypt Fintech bridge, which will deepen payment systems in both countries and drive economic growth across the continent. Meanwhile, the CBN Monetary Policy Committee prepares to meet next week to deliberate on global and domestic economic realities and make projections for the rest of the year. We have details of all this and more in today's package, but that's in a moment. Stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. We'll begin with a report of a circular from the Financial and Regulations Department of the Central Bank of Nigeria to all commercial banks, merchant banks, non-interest banks, and payment service banks in the country, as well as financial holding companies on corporate governance guidelines. In the circular issued last Thursday, Director, CBN Financial and Regulations Department, Mr. Chibuzo Efobi, stated that the Apex Bank adapted relevant principles and recommended practices of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance by the Financial Reporting Council (NCCG) 2018, Global Corporate Governance Practices, and related codes, circulars, and directives made by the CBN in developing the released guidelines. The new corporate governance guidelines take effect from the 1st of August and supersede all previous codes, circulars, and related directives on corporate governance previously issued by the CBN. Part of the objectives of the guidelines include to outline industry-specific corporate governance standards for banks and promote high ethical standards among operators while enhancing public confidence. Under board structure and composition, the guidelines provide for gender diversity, stating that no board of any bank shall consist of only one gender, and asks that banks take practical approach to women's economic empowerment in order to promote a gender-inclusive board. The tenure of MD CEO of a bank is subject to a maximum period of 12 years, while an executive who exits from the board of a bank shall serve out a cooling period of 2 years before being eligible for appointment as a non-executive director in the same bank, subject to applicable cumulative tenure limits. Banks are allowed to hold their general meetings virtually where physical meetings are not feasible. Under protection of shareholders' rights, no individual, group of individuals, their proxies, or corporate entities are allowed to own controlling interest in more than one bank except with prior approval of the CBN. CBN prior approval and no objection is also required before any acquisition of shares of a bank, including through the capital market, that will result in equity holding of 5% and above by any investor. Any director whose facility or that of a related interest remains non-performing in any financial institution for more than a year shall no longer be on the board of the bank and shall be blacklisted from sitting on the board of such bank or any other financial institution under the purview of the CBN. The Central Bank of Nigeria has reviewed cash reserve requirement (CRR) regime for merchant banks in the country, reducing it from the current 32.5% to 10% with effect from August the 1st. Director, CBN Banking Supervision Department, Mr. Haruna Mustafa, announced the reduction in a circular to all merchant banks last Friday, July the 14th. Mr. Mustafa said the regulatory measure is in recognition of the nuanced business model of merchant banks, particularly their wholesale funding structure, regulatory restrictions from the retail market, and permissible activities in relation to conventional commercial banks. The reduced CRR is expected to boost the bank's ability to avail increased infrastructure, real sector, and other long-term financing needed to support economic development. He added that the bank will continue to monitor market developments and implement measures to address unique challenges of merchant banks. The Central Bank of Nigeria on Tuesday made public the list of approved Bureau de Change BDC operators in the country, totaling 2,991. This new list of approved BDCs indicates a pruning of 2,698 operators whose licenses have been revoked from the list of 5,689 approved as of December ending 2021. The number of Bureau de Change operators in the country increased from 74 in 2005 to 5,689 in 2021. The CBN stopped the sale of foreign exchange to BDCs due to concerns of round-tripping and involvement in illicit financial activities. This next report will excite tech experts as the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Central Bank of Egypt have signed a memorandum of understanding to establish a fintech bridge. The signing ceremony, which took place during the 17th to 18th of July Seamless North Africa 2023 conference at the Egypt International Exhibition Center, Cairo, comes after a series of engagements on issues around payment system, financial technology, and financial inclusion in Africa. Speaking at the event, CBN Deputy Governor of Financial System Stability, Mrs. Aisha Hamad, who signed on behalf of the Central Bank of Nigeria, said the bank was extremely excited over the partnership with the Central Bank of Egypt following months of engagement and look forward to cultivating an innovative space for fintech startups and entrepreneurs in both countries to accelerate financial inclusion, deepen payment systems, and drive economic growth across Africa. Also speaking at the ceremony, the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Egypt, Mr. Rami Abulnaga, commended the MOU and expressed optimism that the partnership will produce the desired expectations. The groundbreaking partnership between the two largest economies on the continent encompasses a broad range of collaborative initiatives, including joint regulatory innovation projects, coordinated licensing and supervisory frameworks, information sharing, fintech cross-referrals, and talent development. Officials of the Central Bank of Nigeria were at the University of Abuja on Monday for Inera sensitization and onboarding. CBN Deputy Director Mr. Joseph Angaye told members of the university community about chip-enabled near-field communication NFC device, a new feature that has just been introduced to Inera. Mr. Angaye said the NFC is a short-range, high-frequency wireless communication technology that enables the exchange of data between devices over a 10-centimeter distance. The feature will enhance the use of Inera by Nigerians without smartphones or internet access and allow Inera wallet owners carry out financial transactions with little or no human contact using tags attached to their phones. He added that the Inera has evolved into a world-class payment system instrument with better functionalities, pitching the adoption of Inera as a complementary payment option for revenue collection and to deepen financial inclusion among the unbanked and the underserved. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria will hold its bi-monthly meeting for July next week on Monday 24th and Tuesday 25th. Notice of the 292nd MPC meeting was posted on the CBN website on Monday. It is the first MPC meeting to be chaired by Mr. Folashadun Shonubi since his appointment as acting governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria by President Bola Tinubu. Investors and economic watchers are eager to know what the decision of the CBN Monetary Policy Committee will be, especially with regards to the benchmark interest rate against the backdrop of rising inflation in the country. According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, headline inflation rose for the sixth consecutive month in June to 22.79%. Earlier, we spoke with the Group Managing Director, Carry Asset Management, Mr. Johnson Chukwu, for his perspective on the issue.
Many thanks for joining us this afternoon, sir.
Thank you for having me. Good day.
Now, the National Bureau of Statistics released inflation figures for June, putting headline inflation at 22.79%. Some analysts have criticized the figures, saying that it was expected to be higher. Knowing the importance of inflation figures and the fact that the Central Bank of Nigeria's MPC meeting will be holding next week, what do you say to all of this?
Well, interestingly, like you rightly pointed out, most Nigerians had expected, including uninformed or what you mean non-economists. Even a man on the street felt that the inflation figure did not represent the expectation of Nigerians, given what happened in terms of prices. Of course, we know the president announced a new removal of subsidy on 29th of May. And from that very 29th of May, prices of petroleum products went up, transport costs went up, virtually all consumer goods items went up. We've seen from the shop floor, prices increase significantly beyond what they were. And remember, when you're doing the inflation figure, you're doing average price of those commodities that are in the basket or consumer index basket compared to what they were same period last year. So people are finding it difficult to accept that those figures that were published actually represent the reality on the ground. But in terms of what are the impact of this, ideally, a reliable inflation figure should be a tool for decision making, particularly as it relates to monetary policy authorities. They should ordinarily take cognizance what inflation figure is, because the basic thing that the monetary authority is supposed to do is maintain price stability. That's their primary focus. And consumer price stability is one of those things they should maintain. And we know that when they want to drive down inflation figure, they adopt contractionary monetary policies. But if you have an inflation figure that looks kind of below the expectation of Nigerians, it could lead to a wrong decision. It could lead to a decision to say, look, we still have inflation under control, under checks, and therefore we may not need to do anything to rein in on inflation. So that's the concern. As it stands today, I doubt if any Nigerian decision maker will use the June inflation figure as a critical tool for decision making, because people have already put a huge question mark on it.
Right. Thankfully, the CBN also has its research department that takes care of situations like this, I suppose, and I believe that will be regularized in their decision-making process. But as I mentioned, the MPC meeting will be holding next week. What are your expectations, especially as it regards interest rates?
Well, interesting. This is going to be the first MPC meeting after the exit of the CBN governor, the suspension of the central bank governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. And we know that as it stands today, the president appointed a special advisor on monetary policies, which simply means you have somebody who is interfacing with the central bank. So the implication, I think, is that the Monetary Policy Committee will toe the lines of the president, who had said that they want to support this sector productive activities and stuff like that. So if you ask me based on that, I think monetary parameters may not be the deciding factor in the decision of the Monetary Policy Committee this time around. It might be to align with the expectations of the executive arm of government.
That's interesting. But then it brings another issue to fore. The issue of the foreign investors that we're expecting. If the Naira is floating, if inflation rate is currently at 22.79 as released as the recent figures released by the National Bureau of Statistics, if anything happens to the interest rate, whether it moves up or it moves down, there will be consequence. How do you think that will affect the foreign investment that we're expecting?
Yeah, every macroeconomic parameter will have consequence implications. Today, the target of the government is to attract foreign portfolio investment, but my concern is that we have not achieved foreign currency liquidity, and we have not achieved exchange rate stability. Those are two major factors that foreign portfolio investors will consider first before coming to an economy. Because if we are seeing a kind of depreciation or devaluation we are witnessing the past couple of days, foreign investors will stay back and watch until you achieve stability. Foreign investors want to come to your market where there's FX liquidity. We don't have FX liquidity. So for me, those are the two major factors that will override every other factor. Even if you increase interest rates to 50% and they don't have liquidity, so they can't take their money where they want to take it, they're not likely going to come. If they think the currency could depreciate faster than the income they're going to earn in Naira, they're not going to come. So for now, I think the foreign portfolio investors, irrespective of what we do as it relates to interest rates, may still sit on the sideline until we achieve liquidity and stability in exchange rates.
Thank you for staying tuned. You're still watching From the CBN, a weekly program that brings to you reports and expert analysis of the actions, policies, events, and economic initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. Promoting alternative payment channels as tools for financial inclusion was a theme of the CBN Fair, which held in Bauchi State a fortnight ago. It was a platform to interact with members of the public on policies and strategic interventions of the CBN for sustainable economic development in the country. Here's sight and sound from the event.
It is my honor, glory, and privilege to welcome you all to the CBN Fair taking place here in Bauchi. Distinguished participants, we are honored with the presence of subject matter experts who will make presentations on the identified areas of discussion. The whole essence is to ensure that Nigerians are educated about banks' policies and programs and learn how they can benefit from them.
The bank, as a responsible and responsive corporate citizen, has demonstrated the most passionate commitment in supporting businesses and promoting diversification through area of intervention in agriculture, health, manufacturing, and other key sectors of the economy. I have a word on our currency, the Naira. The CBN will sustain its efforts towards ensuring availability of currency. We, however, urge you to see Naira as a critical symbol of national identity. Respect and keep it clean. Do not spread, hawk, mutilate, or counterfeit the Naira.
He is also suggesting that the fine for counterfeiting 5 years should be extended to 10 years or life imprisonment. That can only be done by the National Assembly, because the Nigerian Constitution, the section that deals with the bank, clearly states the fine for the counterfeiting. So probably maybe going forward, the National Assembly can enact a new law that will extend the penalty for counterfeiting. another question is, why are we still using new redesigned Naira and old? The President gave a directive and a court order has been issued to that effect that they should run concurrently till 31st of December 2023. Afterwards, any further information that is related to the bank will be communicated to the public.
Another option that we're looking at as CBN and even within Inera is to do what is called offline payments. Those type of payments do not require the network to be available when you're doing them, but also because of the risk that is attached there will be transaction limits and other types of limits to minimize anything that can go wrong. How do I become an agent of Inera? I've spoken. You can register on board as a merchant. Then you can be able to do some of that.
I'm one of the beneficiaries of this gesture. Before then, I had just about 3 workers, but after assessing the facilities, my business improved. This is Rosemary of Soaking Poultry and Feeds. I am into broiler production, meat production, and frozen chicken.
We're the only company in Nigeria that was into conversion of agricultural and domestic waste into value-added products. Like what? Organic fertilizer, charcoal briquettes from rice husk, granite shells, and in fact you are Naira notes. So in fact we are CBN's brainchild. Since 2019 we won the contract to evacuate CBN's paper briquette notes. We started with Kano, Katsina, Bauchi, and now we're doing it nationwide. With the advent of the CBN's intervention through National Artemis, now we are not just using motorized machines. We are fabricating motorized machines in Bauchi, and we're the only ones in Africa.
I'm super great and excited to be here to share my testimonies with you people here at the CBN Fair Enlightenment. First of all, in 2018, I assessed facilities. I was opportune to be one of the people that assessed facilities from NISA. I got to know about the scheme from a beneficiary of the scheme as well, Agnes, which is an intervention of the CBN through the NISA bank. So when I got the NISA loan brought my dreams of opening the Fashion Designing Academy, which is now one of the best fashion designing academy here in Bauchi State. And also, we are able to now become the center of fashion in the Northeast. Not just the Northeast, we ship clothes beyond Nigeria to places like Austria, USA, we ship clothes to UK and places like Australia as well.
In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, let me assure you that the CBN will continue to ensure that it delivers on its core mandate of ensuring monetary and price stability. However, it is instructive to state that the bank shall also continually roll out proactive and innovative policies which will ensure that all economic subsectors receive the desired support.
That's it from the CBN this week. Be careful not to fall for any fraudulent recruitment portal or loan scheme advertisement purportedly from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Get your information from trusted sources always. Report unresolved banking issues to the CBN Consumer Protection Department using the email cpd@cbn.gov.ng. Attach relevant documents. Call the CBN Contact Center on the phone line +234 700 2255 226. Local call rates may apply. Write to us through the email address fromthecbn@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram and Twitter for updates and to watch uploaded episodes of the program. We invite you to join us again next time. I am Oluyemisi Dada. Stay safe and bye for now.